Hey guys, welcome back to the Curly Reader. My name's Amanda, and today I want to share with you my top 5 reads of the last quarter of 2021. Alright, so as you guys know, I typically do quarterly favorites, top 5 of each quarter, and quarter 4 is always hard because we're also doing year-end wrap-ups and everything, but I wanted to get this out there for you, kind of finish it off strong before I get into all my year-end favorites of the year, all of that kind of stuff. All of that stuff will be coming up next week, so keep your eye out for it. I know it's a little bit later than some people have been doing theirs. That's what worked in my schedule, so I hope you're still interested in it then. But all of my annual stuff will be next week. Today, though, I want to share with you, like I said, top 5 reads of October, November, and December of 2021. So I have a nice little variety here, I guess. I have two middle grade, 3 historical fiction. I mean, let's get real. That is me as a person. One of the middle grades is a graphic novel, so let's just dig into it. The graphic novel that was my favorite was The Secret Garden on 81st Street. This is by Ivy Noel Weir. Actually, one of my subscribers sent this to me, Belinda. She sent this to me after I raved about it, and I love it so much. Thank you so much, Belinda. That was so, so kind of you, and I'm excited because now I can have my kids read it, and I'm just excited to own this one. So anyway, this is a modern graphic retelling of The Secret Garden. So we have our key characters, Mary, Dickon, Colin. Had a mind blank there for a minute. Colin, they're all in this. It's in New York City. Mary goes to live with her uncle. Finds out about this kind of locked away garden. It's a rooftop garden. It's so fun. The sickness that Colin is dealing with in here is anxiety, like crippling anxiety, and not wanting to leave the house. And I just thought that translated really well to modern day. Like if you take the original storyline, translate it into modern day, it worked so well, and I loved it. I loved this book. I loved the illustration style. Like here is Mary and Dickon working in the garden. Like it's just fun. And so yeah, this one definitely made the cut. The other middle grade book that I really loved, I don't own. It's called A Kind of Spark by Elle McNicol. And this is actually a Scottish author who wrote about a girl, an autistic girl. It has to do with, what's her name? Addie? I think it's Addie. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it has to do with her, and she is in school. She has a teacher who is not supportive of her needs at all. And they in school are learning about witch trials that took place in their town hundreds of years ago, and what happened to these women and how these women were put on trial for just being different. And the little girl in the book, she really identifies with that and being ostracized and punished for things that you cannot control. And so she wants to erect a memorial in her town to commemorate these women who were unjustly killed. And the town council is not exactly thrilled about that. They think it's going to bring negative attention to their town, but she really pushes for it. The thing that I loved about this book is that it really discusses autism in a deep way that is accessible to middle graders and adults alike. I mean, I learned a ton reading this book in just the terminology to use when you talk about autism, how to reference autistic people, and just some of the daily struggles that they deal with that I was not aware of. I know I said this in my December wrap up, but one of the things that I appreciate about this is that I will never understand autism, what it is like to deal with autism and to just have that on a day-to-day basis. But I can have empathy towards autistic people and their struggles and what makes them special. And yeah, I absolutely loved it. I think it's a great read for middle graders who, especially if you know an autistic person or an autistic child, I strongly suggest you read this because it will allow you to be able to empathize with them and understand them in a different way. And I just thought this was so well done. It is own voices. Elle McNicol is a neurodiverse author, and so yeah, it was just really, really, really good. it was really well done. So that was my other middle grade favorite. Now, historical fiction favorites. The first one that I want to talk about is Secrets of a Charmed Life by Susan Meisner. This one was just good. Hi, Buddy read this one with Krista from Books and Jams and Katie, who is a subscriber of both of ours. And this is dual timeline. The historic timeline is set in 1940s during World War II in England during the Blitz, and we're following Emmeline, who wants to be a wedding dress designer. That's her dream. She's 15 years old. She has the opportunity to kind of have an internship with a designer, and she's so excited about it. And then the evacuations take place where the children had to be evacuated. At that point in time, if you were 16, you were not considered a child. And so she's really upset because she's right on the cusp of that. She has a younger sister, though, that her mother really wants her to take care of. And so she is basically forced to evacuate against her will. And it's kind of about her pursuing her dreams while she's supposed to be evacuated. And I'm not going to say any more than that because the storyline just blossoms from there. In the present day timeline, we're following Kendra, who is a scholar at Oxford, and she is interviewing an elderly lady, Isabel McFarlane, and so she is interviewing her as part of like an assignment, and so Isabel is telling her story, and that's where we kind of get into the past timeline. I love this book so much. I really loved As Bright as Heaven by Susan Meisner also. These two are like hands down my two favorite Susan Meisner. I've read a few other ones and they've been good, but I haven't loved them as much as I loved As Bright as Heaven and this one. And so yeah, this one definitely earned a spot on my top 5. Another one, actually my last read of 2021 that I absolutely loved was The Lincoln Highway by Amor Towles. This is Amor Towles' newest book. It just came out in October, I believe. And this follows brothers Emmett and Billy as Emmett has just been released from like a juvenile detention camp. And he has been released early because his father passed away. And so he has to go home and take care of his 8-year-old brother. And so that's where the story starts, is like he is being released from this camp and the warden is driving him home so he can take care of his brother. Well, they get there and a bunch of different things happen. Long story short, they're planning on going to California or Arizona. They're kind of headed out west. They start in Iowa, I believe. And they want to be headed out west. Well, unbeknownst to Emmett, a couple of his acquaintances from the juvenile detention camp escaped in the trunk of the warden's car, and they kind of hijack Emmett and Billy's trip out west, and instead they end up going to New York, and things happen. This is told, I think Amor Towles said it was like 8 different points of view. There's a lot of characters. I will say that I loved this, but I love Amor Towles' writing. I think I love his writing more than his storytelling. So take that for what it is. This story is very rambly. There are some parts that are kind of drawn out. There are some characters that are very like out there that you're not really understanding why they're there. A lot of kind of loose ends at the end of the book, that sort of thing. That being said, the writing was beautiful. I loved it. There's a lot of wisdom in Amor Towles' writing, and so I personally loved it, but it may not be for everyone. All right, and then the last one that I want to mention, this is probably gonna end up being probably my favorite book of the year, you guys. I loved it so much, and that is The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna. I read this in November as part of Historathon, and you guys, this book just spoke to me. This book, we follow Lenny. At the beginning of the book, she's 13 years old. It's 1974 in Alaska. Well, it doesn't start in Alaska. It starts in the US in, I don't remember where. But her dad is a Vietnam vet, and he's dealing with a lot of PTSD issues. But he decides he's going to move his entire family to Alaska, and they're going to kind of live off the land out in the boonies in the middle of nowhere. He's a little bit of a conspiracy theorist. He just doesn't want to have anything to do with the government, all the things. And so he moves Lenny and her mom and him out there to Alaska, and it's just their story of survival, really. There is a lot of domestic violence, abuse, that sort of thing going on in here. And it was definitely hard to read at times, but it was so well done. I sobbed, like heaving sobbed at the end of this, because it hit me so hard. But yeah, by the end of this, Lenny is an adult, so it's really her story through growing up, and it was so beautifully well told. Like I said, really hard to read, but really beautiful, just story of survival, both physical, emotional, mental, familial, like all of it. And so yeah, highly recommend. If you have not read this yet, pick it up if you think you can. Like I said, there are definitely trigger warnings, so take that for what it is. But I loved it. So those were my top 5 books of the last quarter of 2021. Have you read any of these? Did you love them? Did you not love them? Let me know what you think. Let me know what your favorite books that you read over the last 3 months were as well. And yeah, that's going to do it for today. I hope that you enjoyed this. Like I said, all of my year-end wrap-up stuff will be going up next week, so keep your eye out for that. And yeah, that's going to do it. So I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope that you stick around and subscribe. And until next time, see ya.